What's up YouTube, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and in this video we're going to be comparing the camera's SuperSaf style between the iPhone 6s and the iPhone 7. A lot of you guys have been asking me for this video to mainly see if there's much of a difference between the cameras of the 6s and the 7, and if it's worth upgrading just for the cameras. Well, that's what we're going to be trying to find out in this video. So we are going to be doing, in the usual style, the front and rear facing camera test and looking at images as well as video too. Do also look out for the audio icon in the corner of the screen, and that will indicate to you which device the audio is coming from. And I'll be switching between these two throughout the video to give you guys a better idea of the differences, if there are any. Not sure if there will be. So we're currently using the front facing cameras on both devices. One thing to bear in mind straight away is that the 7 now finally films in 1080p, whereas the 6s only films in 720p. So we are going to be getting more detail at 100% on the 7. Now we're going to be switching to the rear facing cameras, doing some video tests as well as some images, and we'll do lots of different scenarios including low lights, so do stay tuned for those. Let's get straight to it. So now we are using the rear facing cameras outdoors. We're filming at 4K on both. And although this video is exported out at 1080p, it does mean we can crop in and get more detail. One other key difference between these is that the 7 does have optical image stabilization, so I'm just going to take a bit of a walk to see if that makes much of a difference. Let me know in the comments below. Now, just to take the stabilization test a little bit further, I've switched on to 1080p on both here. Because the digital stabilization may work a little bit better on the 6s in this case. So just to kind of see, so I'm just taking a bit of a walk, and I'll start running a little bit as well so we can really see how much of a difference it makes. Looking pretty good on the screen of the 7. Now just testing out the Autofocus Indoors under room lighting on the iPhone 7. Seems to be doing okay. Now same lighting on the 6s, going from something that's close to something that's further away. Does seem a tad slower than it is on the 7. So now before we move on to images, let's just clarify some details. So for the front facing cameras, we do have 7 megapixels on the 7 compared to 5 megapixels on the 6s. As I mentioned earlier as well, we have 1080p video on the 7 compared to 720p video on the front facing camera of the 6s. For the rear facing cameras, we still have the same resolution, so 12 megapixels on both. However, the 7 does come with 2 key improvements. The first is an f1.8 aperture, and the second is optical image stabilization. Last year this was only reserved for the larger model. Now if you like this marble skin that I've got on my iPhone 7, then definitely check out dbrand skins. And thanks to dbrand for making this video possible. If you want to customize the look of your smartphone, whether that be an iPhone or another device, then dbrand is the way to go. It'll give your device more grip, and it will also protect it from scratches, as well as giving you a unique look. I'll leave a link to them in the description below if you're interested in picking one up. Now, quick disclaimer, everything that you see here has been taken on automatic. I've not tweaked any of these settings, so this way you'll see what's coming out straight from the cameras. So starting off with some selfies, I think both are doing pretty well. The 7 does look like it's got better dynamic range. Now, side note, HDR was on automatic for both of these, and both did use HDR. But it looks like the 7 is doing a bit of a better job. You can still see a little bit more blue in the skies compared to the 6s where it is being lost. Now because you have a high resolution of 7 megapixels on the iPhone 7, if we go in 100%, you can see that we can crop in further. We do have lots more detail. That beard is looking too detailed for my liking. It's too much of a close-up here. I do need to neaten it up a little bit, but that's a side note. You do get a lot more detail on the iPhone 7. Now moving indoors in room lighting, once again the 7 seems to be doing better here. You've got a lot more noise on the 6s, and you're also losing a bit of color, so the 6s is looking a little bit washed out compared to the 7. And using the front facing flash, the 7 once again is doing a better job. The colors seem even more washed out here on the 6s. So for the front facing camera, it looks like we have improvements all around. Now moving on to the rear facing camera, so starting off with a bit of a macro shot, I think both are doing really well here. You've got a little bit more of a blurry background on the 7, and that is because of the wider aperture. So if you look at the leaf towards the bottom of the picture, you can see that it's a little bit more blurred and that does look a little bit nice. I also like the colors a little bit better on the 7. They seem a little bit richer compared to the 6S. But realistically speaking, not a huge deal of difference. Even if we go in 100%, the detail is similar here. Same amount of detail. We can see that fly on both here. And that is because we have 12 megapixels. So for the next shot, I went on to a wide shot here. And both are doing pretty good. I think the 7 probably has a little bit better dynamic range because we have a little bit more detail on the shadows, but I think both are doing relatively well. I don't think you're going to be noticing a huge deal of difference in good lighting. Where you will notice a difference, however, is in low light. So here you can see that the iPhone 7 image is much better, it's brighter, it's got better colors and less noise. This is a lot more obvious when we go in 100%. You're losing a lot of detail on the 6S. This is the wider aperture as well as the optical image stabilization that's coming in play to give you a better image on the 7. Now just to quickly test out an outdoor shot, so I just went outside at night, and the 7 is once again doing a much better job. You've got a brighter image. If you look towards the background, what's interesting is that you can see some of that tree on the 7. On the 6S, that tree has completely disappeared in the background. So here you can see that low light improvement. Moving in 100%, much less noise on the image from the 7. That red is also a lot more accurate compared to that on the 6S. Finally, an image using the flash. 7 seems to be doing a little bit better. The 6S is washing it out slightly, so we do have that quad LED flash, which seems to be doing a better job in terms of maintaining those colors on the 7 compared to the 6S. So to conclude, for the front facing camera, I think there are improvements all around. You've got more resolution with 7 megapixels. You've got slightly better dynamic range and definitely better low light performance. I think the biggest change is going to be the fact that we've got 1080p finally on the 7. We've had 720p for so long on the previous iPhones. I'm not sure why they didn't update it, so it is finally nice to have 1080p from the front-facing camera of the iPhone 7. Now for video from the rear-facing cameras, I think quality-wise both were great, but the optical image stabilization for the 7 really does stand out. So for the test where I was walking, you can see that the 7 was much more stable compared to the 6S. So that's definitely a nice improvement. In terms of outdoor images, I think both were good. It was difficult to tell too many differences between them, and I think you're going to be getting some great results from both of these outdoors. Where you're going to be seeing an improvement, a big improvement, is in low light. So because of the optical image stabilization as well as the wider aperture, the 7 is going to be giving you much better images in low light. In terms of the audio, I didn't really notice a difference at all personally. There might have been a minor difference, but both of these still record in mono sound, not stereo sound. And as far as I could hear, there wasn't much of a difference at all, if any. So is it worth upgrading from the 6S to the 7 just for the cameras? Well, there are lots of improvements, especially when it comes to a video from the front-facing camera. The optical image stabilization, I think, is a key selling point as well. So if you are somebody who takes lots of shots in low light situations and lots of video handheld, then the 7 is going to be appealing. But the 6S still takes pretty decent shots, so if you're not in too much of a hurry, then I would say maybe wait for the iPhone 8. That's what I think anyway. What do you think? Drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you want to see more images from the iPhone 7s as I'm using them, then follow me on Instagram. I post lots of shots on there on a daily basis. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe. I've got lots more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.